to say, I'm going to go to jail? What were they taught? That's a little bit more than, the necessity of it. But in order for us to have an action, we are first educated with some type of information that inspires us to act. So what were they taught? Yes, ma'am.
They must have been familiar with Martin Luther King's nonviolent philosophy.
So one thing they may have been taught about the nonviolent philosophy. That's one. Yes, sir.
That their actions would make a difference.
Their actions would make a difference. One more person. What about what they taught the actions? Yes. So a couple more people. Yes, sir.
And collectively, the actions would make a difference.
So they were taught that the actions would make a difference. They were given information about the nonviolent movement. Collectively, their actions make a difference. And yes, ma'am. They understood. So in order for them to be inspired, to want to take this action, there has to necessarily be information. There had to be a foundation of what they received in order for them to take that next step. Does it make sense? And we're looking at how do we inspire that in our classrooms amongst with our young people and to cause them to want to make systemic change in their society. And I realized I didn't introduce myself, but I just jumped up. Teachers, I just started teaching. My name is Tandra Birkett. And I have been a social studies educator now for the past 25 years. I have shifted from the classroom. I worked in New York City. I worked in the Bronx. I've worked in Brooklyn. I've worked in Harlem. And I transitioned from the classroom to go into doing educational consulting. Not so much because I was burned out from the classroom, because if my teachers that work with know that I'm very passionate and working with them, I'll jump in a lesson immediately. You probably tell from the passion here. But it really was about, I wanted to do more to educate new teachers and help them develop. And I wanted to expand that, just that information, so we're able to have the classrooms that are more holistic, classrooms that inspire our young people. So that's why I switched from teaching young people to working with teachers and be able to do that. So we're looking at those different perspectives. So I just realized I didn't say hi. Okay, and so we're looking at here, your programming leads to your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. Your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results. I think that's really important, because we have to keep that frame as teachers, because sometimes we think the information is for information's sake, especially sometimes in social studies, we might get stuck in terms of just being the content, but we're looking at how does this content can be turned key into action, okay? And one of the quotes that I had in doing the research and discussion, this is one of my personal sayings that developed, is education is the first form of action. Education is the first form of action. The subtitle for this workshop is Social Studies is a Verb. Social studies is a verb. I want you to kind of let that sink in, because sometimes as social studies teachers, we don't realize how integral our profession is and how it shapes with the way you would think in the society. Social studies is a verb. It's an action word, okay? Education is the first form of action. When we think about this, we have to understand that teachers are agents of education. We are the ones that have the information that can be able to make those systemic changes. Teachers inspire and inform. And I think that's important, because we don't all, once again, sometimes with the testing society that we live in, we think that it's just about the test. And I share this with my teachers all the time, and I say, don't teach the test. Be a good teacher, and the students will do well. I'm going to say it again. Don't teach the test. Be a good teacher, and the students will do well. So the teacher inspires and informs what is taught, how it is taught, and then action part. This is where we come in terms of what we'll be able to do. Teachers have a determining factor on action or decisions of their students. When I was at Teachers College and I was taking philosophy of education with Professor Hanson, who wrote this quote, this was very resonated with me, what he said. And I just want to share that with you, just in terms of foundation for how we need to reframe our thoughts around our role as teachers. Teachers can play a significant role in what young people learn, in how to learn, and how they become to view learning itself. Teachers can influence young people's personal disposition towards others and toward their own futures. I think that's important for us to keep in mind, that what we teach is directly reflecting on what our young people become. One of the things that I share a lot in terms of understanding my role as a teacher is I say, I am a farmer, I plant seeds. I may or may not, as a teacher, we may not see what the manifestation of what we taught, but if we keep in our minds that my responsibility is to plant the seed and to plant that seed effectively. Their influences, for good or ill, can extend well beyond the duration of schooling, as anyone who remembers teachers they have had can readily attest. So, couple of people real quick, like 3 people, tell me something about your favorite teacher. Yes, ma'am.